This government in particular rode on the promise of creating jobs for young people. If there's one thing that we will keep harping on Zinduka is the promises made by government, especially to the young people, and then how are they actually delivering them and holding them accountable to making sure that they deliver those promises. Again, one of the things I remember about you from even before nomination is you were very clear-minded about UDA and you were very clear-minded about the president, that in terms of voting for him and all. You even said even if you're not elected, you would vote for him. And you gave a very personal reason for that, in the sense that you believed in his ideology or his manifesto or his idea for the country. And of course, I know there was a youth charter which we will keep reviewing on Zinduka, and there were many promises that were made for the young people, or to the young people rather. Speak to that, because a lot of young people are still waiting with bated breath, hoping that this government will be different. Do you think that this government will be different, especially in delivering the promises they've made to the young people?
All right, thank you. That I'll go back with back to the reasons why I told you that the president was my best candidate. And in most cases, this is a question that I've discussed with so many people, and I always tell them, if you go back to that time, assuming that leadership of the country is like an exam. Assume it's an exam. Tunaenda wanakaa chini, they do an exam, and they give their ideologies, the plans, and they come back. Whom do you think would have emerged the best? A practical example is manifestos, right? Whom do you think presented the best?
It depends on who you're voting for or who you're interested
No. Try your level best to be objective. Try your level best to be objective.
I'm objective because I need to be objective for purposes of all the young people.
But I'm saying not now political opinion, but objectively evaluating the manifestos. I'm sure you would find the best, all right? Personally, I would say that my president was the best.
Of course you would say that.
But this one, I'm saying it objectively. However,
objectivity can be subjective, by the way.
It's not subjective in this case.
Okay. So you chose him because of his manifesto?
Yeah, because I believe before you go into leadership, you first have to at least have an idea of what is it that we need to do. What approach do we need to take to solve this specific problem? And I vote the person that I believed was the best in understanding the challenges of the country and the best approach in solving these challenges. And to the question of whether the promises will be kept, I am 100% sure.
I want to know why, because you know, in politics you believe blindly sometimes. You just say, I support Ruiro, na Ruiro mi namuamini. Sometimes you don't even think. But I'm asking you a question, and I'd also like you to be objective. What makes you convinced that this president and this country, this government will be different from the rest in terms of fulfilling the pledges made to the youth?
I think it goes back to intent. What is the person's intention? As you go to, like for example, I've been elected. We could be different. Several people elected, but there's a person who came there and really serving the people is one of the objectives, but maybe not quite a priority. We need a person who identifies with the problems that the people are going through, and from the heart, they really intend to bring forth a solution. This is what we call. So you believe
that His Excellency was honest about.
Yes. Okay. And this is what in most times we call the political goodwill. Do you have the political goodwill? Are you really there to make a difference? And I believe that the best candidate and my president is the best person in really, and he had that intention. If you interact with him and see how he speaks and why he speaks it, with time, let's put away all these information out here, the talks and all. Go interact with the person. Let them speak honestly from their heart. Not the first meeting, a few times. You will get to know the solid reason behind the idea.
Usually that can be attributed to someone who's not been in a position before, because you'll just take their words. So do you believe that his track record is something that young people can bank on as well?
Yes.
Based on what? Like, what did the president do before getting into office?
Like for example, the one thing that I remember very much is the aspect, or when he was in the Ministry of Higher Education. He understood that the hustlers, were required to take more than 1.5 years before joining campus. While that is around the 2008s, 2009s, 2010s
I
there.
think it's 1 year.
It would actually be umetoka this November, unangoja the whole of next year, una join May that other year. You know, it's almost 1.5 years. And I have friends who actually went through that system. He understood that those who could afford private or paying for their school fees would actually join institutions immediately. And that is understanding what the common person is going through. And I believe the moment we do that, right, we'll be able to solve most of the problem. Because the hustlers, as we may call them, are the majority in a country. And if we could just try to deal with half of their problems, I believe
We'll be moving somewhere. Okay, so you think that the ideas and the manifesto, the ideas that they pitch during elections are the ones that make him different?
Yes.
Well, I've read both manifestos, the main ones, of course, actually all of them. And to be honest, most of them are similar. So one of the questions that we keep getting on Zinduka is what will be different in terms of implementation of the promises? What will that be distinguishing factor in this government?
In this government, again, I will tie it back because at the end of to the leadership, the person, the intention. If you look at go back to even the nominations. The president made it clear that I want my nominations transparent and fair. And we mentioned that, and we saw how that was able to elevate different individuals. Look at the promises that he was able to make about the cabinet. He has at least made sure.
Well, kuna wengine wameumia kidogo.
Yeah, and that is
like the women, you know, they were hoping for 50% of the cabinet. They didn't get that.
Compared to the previous cabinets we've had before, it's going to be a journey and it's going to be gradual. But at least we can see a shift. We've seen some energy, some commitment towards making it a possibility, you know. And that is why I'm saying, you see, like for example, probably someone else might have promised the same. But how sure are you that once we give you this responsibility, that you will actually do that? And that is, now that we are already past elections, it is always going to go back to that same question. How committed are you as a leader, as a person? How is your political goodwill towards ensuring that this is achieved?
Okay. So let's go back to your country, your home county rather, Murang'a. You're largely agrarian. And right now, of course, there's a large part of the country, over 23 counties are facing drought. And your mom, being a fruit seller, must be affected by that as well.
Yeah, so much so.
At your level, what do you think government should do?
I think actually this is something we are working on. Irrigation will go a long way. Like there is a section of my ward. My ward is quite expansive. In the future, maybe it might be divided into two. It's actually one of the expansive in Murang'a County. So there is one lower part of the ward that is somehow dry, somehow. And irrigation is the only solution. And we are working on that. I'm actually making follow-up because there is a section that is not fully completed. And once we have that water, I know the people of my ward, I know the people of Murang'a are hardworking, and they will deliver. And I know after we give them the irrigation water and all that, we support them. What I think we've always said, the government is an enabler. Once we enable them to farm, we just need to give them the irrigation water, and they'll be able to farm, and I know we'll make them a little bit more sustainable.
Excellent.
What we're dealing with is that there's a section, you know, the pipe, the irrigation water is coming through a pipe. Kuna one of the resident mwenye kwake, we've not been able to go through, so we are in negotiation with them so that they can allow us to go through. Then secondly, there's also a section of my ward that is known for growing fruits, maembe in most times. For the longest time, most of these fruits have been going to waste. Simply because no proper market, and again the pesticides and all that, and they don't have the proper training. So those are some of the
things you'll be working on?
Yeah, they don't have the proper training. As we speak, we have already met severally, and we will make sure that we support their farming. The county government is working with a juice producing plant so that we offer them market, and this company will now be able to train them. They'll be collecting their fruits. Is
this targeted towards farmers in general or young people?
For now, it's farmers in general. You know, there's also a challenge that, unfortunately for the young people, most of the landowners are not young people.
Okay.
So this is going to be related to land ownership.
Okay.
Whoever is the owner of land.